Welcome to Satisfaction UGTV. My name is Cerinah Tugume and I run a business called Serene Beauty that does hair and makeup. And with me today is Dr. Malik Ssempereza from Unity Skin Clinic. And I am a vitiligo patient. Am I a patient?
Yes.
I don't feel like I'm a patient, but I have vitiligo. I have had vitiligo for slightly over 30 years. Dr. Malik Ssempereza actually did treat my vitiligo at some point. And together here, we're having a conversation today about vitiligo because Tuesday, 25th of June is World Vitiligo Day. And we have come together with Satisfaction UG to educate people about vitiligo during this June vitiligo month. Yeah, so we want to have this conversation. We've had other conversations on this same channel with other vitiligo beauties, friends of mine that have vitiligo, and we felt that we needed a medical perspective on vitiligo because we realized that education, awareness is so important. Our theme this month that we chose actually is unpacking vitiligo because we feel that many people don't understand it, don't know what it is, and it is important information in this world today. And so, welcome, Dr. Malik.
Thank you. I love the term you've given of vitiligo beauties. I think that's a really good one. That's a really good one.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a good one. I think I'll throw something in there at this point. My 5-year-old son actually calls it pretty ligo.
Wow.
He calls it pretty ligo.
Really,
and I was like, why do you call it pretty ligo? And he said, because it makes you pretty.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh wow. So I think
they see patterns that we don't see.
Yeah, so as we start this conversation, the first thing I want to ask is just that you introduce yourself properly to the audience.
Okay. Yes, so hi everyone. I'm really glad to be here. I'm called Dr. Malik Ssempereza. I'm a dermatologist. I've been practicing for the past 18 years and been practicing dermatology for the past 12 years. I own a clinic called Unity Skin Clinic. She knows it very well.
Yeah.
Here in Kampala. And I've been quite, can I say, an advocate as well for vitiligo.
Yes.
And I've tried to innovate because I love innovation. So I've tried to bring quite a number of options and treatments for vitiligo patients here in Uganda. So I'm really glad to be here. And yes, this is really a very good innovation that you've done.
Yeah, I like what you say about innovation. I've had vitiligo for over 30 years and for about 20 years, I didn't treat my vitiligo. So I met Dr. Malik about 10 years ago. Actually, 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
And at the time I met him, I had not treated my vitiligo for about maybe 10 years. I had stopped all kinds of treatment because I just felt like none of it was working and I just didn't want to bother anymore. And I decided to give him a chance. And he shocked me. He actually gave me a treatment that worked in about 4 months.
In about 4 months,
I came to you when I had quite a bit of vitiligo on my face.
On the face, yes.
And everything went off. Everything. The only vitiligo that stayed was actually on my lips.
On the lips, yes.
Yes. And remember, I was planning my wedding.
Yes.
And I was so excited. I couldn't believe that. Yeah. I mean, nothing had worked for a long time. So yes, I think you say innovation, cutting edge solutions. That's the vibe we get from Unity Skin Clinic. Unity. And so we felt that you're actually the best person for us to have this conversation with.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, so tell us a bit. So people are wondering, what is vitiligo? What are they talking about? What is vitiligo? And what causes it?
Yes, so of course I'm not going to give so much of medical lingo. I don't want to bore people. Yes, so vitiligo is when you have what you call depigmentation. So your skin has cells that make color. They're called melanocytes. And their job is they make melanin, which is supposed to protect you from skin cancer. I know why I'm saying those questions will come in later. Yes, so melanin is supposed to shield us from skin cancer. Now, however, our body has immunity cells. So it has a whole system of defense. So sometimes your own antibodies, your own immunity, by mistake, will end up attacking specifically the cells that make color. Those are the melanocytes.
Yes.
I always tell people it happens by mistake. No one really knows why it happens. But it does happen. So that's what we call an acquired disease. So most people, it's not genetic that someone is born with it, but it's acquired. It comes. It can come at any age. I've seen patients of 1 month old to patients of 8 years old when it's just come for the first time. So the condition is basically depigmentation. You start seeing loss of color on your skin, and those patches are totally harmless. They don't itch, they don't irritate, they don't turn red, but they're just there. So, and they can happen anywhere on the body. So it's one of the diseases that is extremely unpredictable. You can't know where it will go. You can't know which part, you know. So that's essentially what vitiligo is. So basically it's what you call an autoimmune disease. Auto means yourself, your own immunity attacking the skin against you. It's like you have your ascaris at home, and then they by mistake they think
they think you're a thug.
They think you're a thug, yet actually you're not. So that's what you call autoimmune diseases. So vitiligo is basically what you call an autoimmune disease of the melanocytes. So it specifically attacks the cells that make color, the melanocytes that make melanin.
So you've started actually answering one of the things. Like we said, the theme is unpacking vitiligo. And one of the things we were addressing when we had our interview was myths. And so you've started kind of touching on it. So one of the causes, the assumed causes of vitiligo by most people is that it's genetic. So what do you have to say about that?
There are extremely few cases where it has been genetic. Yes, it's what you call an acquired disease, meaning you just get it anytime. There are very few cases where you have twins, because so many studies have been done with vitiligo, and they try to follow twins. If someone has it, does the other twin also have it? And they found that actually you may have only one twin having it and the other not having it. So it's what you call an acquired disease. The extremely rare cases, small percentages where it can be genetic. But those people where it's genetic, they have other what you call genodermatosis. They have other skin diseases that are genetic. But vitiligo is one of the symptoms.
Them. So if I don't have other skin issues, then most likely my child will not have vitiligo.
They will not have it. So there's one of the conditions which you call puerperal. The people who have what you call vitiligo, a patch right just here in the middle of the forehead. It cuts across the hair and just here, straight in the middle. So that is something genetic. But when someone sees such people, they may think it is vitiligo. But when it is something genetic, but it's part of a whole wider part of genetic disease. But the normal vitiligo, what you call vitiligo, it's acquired in most cases.
So how would you tell that this is vitiligo and this is something else? Are there other diseases that look like vitiligo but are not vitiligo?
Yes, of course, there's so many diseases that will mimic vitiligo. It's why I always say it's good to see a specialist so that we can really examine you and tell you that if this is vitiligo or not. There's so many. For example, children who are newborn, they may have skin diseases. There's one they call seborrheic dermatitis, where they have cradle cap and they get patches on the skin. But as those patches are healing, they leave light patches on the body. If a child has what you call eczema, they may have light patches on the body. So sometimes people will come in crying, they say, oh my goodness, my child has vitiligo. But not yet you know that actually there was something there before this rash came. So it's what you call post-inflammatory. Like you've had a skin disease, but because of the damage it has done, the skin is lighter. And over time, the color comes back. It can take 1 or 2 years, or a couple of months, but it comes back. So those are so many diseases that can mimic that condition. Then you have, for the lips, you talked of the lips. There are people who bite their lips. And they leave the depigmentation and they think it's vitiligo. So, those are there. The people have what you call other general autoimmune diseases, what you call connective tissue disorders. Now, those are other skin diseases where your own immunity attacks so many things. It attacks your joints, your skin starts to become thicker, it becomes unflexible, and then you see that that person has scanty patches of vitiligo.
Okay.
So there, vitiligo becomes just a small component of the whole disease that someone has.
Yeah.
So, like I've said, the best thing is if you have such something, come to a specialist. Let's see and really confirm whether it's vitiligo or not.
Or not. So,
Yes. The good thing is most people come and they're scared. Realize that actually it isn't vitiligo.
It happened to me.
It happened to you. Exactly.
Yeah, I carried my child there. He just had like light
patches
around his eyes as a baby. And I thought, oh my God, my child has vitiligo. But I think I was looking for it because I didn't want him to go through what I went through.
Exactly.
So how would you? And the reason I thought it was that is because my vitiligo started at the eyes.
Yes.
Does vitiligo? I have read severally that vitiligo. Most vitiligo starts from body openings. Have you found that to be true?
Vitiligo is unpredictable. I've seen diseases, but one of the most unpredictable diseases is vitiligo.
Yeah.
There is no formula.
Yeah.
A percentage of people may have it around the body openings, around the eyes, around the nose, around the mouth. Then
the
also
ears.
I see it a lot with girls. I've been seeing quite a number of young girls, 3 years, 5 years old, 7 years old. They get it around the genitals as well. That's actually quite a huge number of patients I've seen as well. So yes, it can begin around the openings, but it's totally unpredictable. Someone may just come in and it's on the scalp. Another person may come in and it's just on the neck. It's so random and unpredictable. So it's unpredictable territory. That's the key word with vitiligo. There's really no clear pattern that you can follow and predict that this is what will happen.
And I think I really like that you're making that clear, because one important thing that I feel like people need to know is that as much as it is unpredictable in understanding the cause, it is also unpredictable in treatment. Because one treatment will work for someone, it won't work for another person. One person's vitiligo will spread very fast, another person's vitiligo will not. Some people have very small vitiligo and it stays like that
forever.
And other people, in like 2 months, they are almost all covered.
So it's really unpredictable. It's what we call, it's actually, in dermatology, we say it does not have a cure. That's what we say. It's always good to tell the patient the truth that this is a disease that doesn't have a cure. But it's not life-threatening. So, but it doesn't have a cure. It's really unpredictable,
And then what about the role of stress? Like, you know, I've read about extremely stressful incidents that can trigger vitiligo in a person. Or what has research shown? What has, on the medical side, what facts do you have on that?
So one of the key skin diseases that is so strongly affected and connected to the mind is vitiligo. So what happens is there's a strong connection. So it's what we call a psychodermatosis. So dermatosis means skin disease. Psycho is the mind. But vitiligo is so strongly related to the mindset. When someone is stressed about vitiligo,
it increases. That's true.
It becomes worse. So vitiligo is this really unfortunate, unending vortex. Like, it just keeps consuming. It's like a black hole. So sometimes, when I see a patient, the first thing I tell them, no treatment is an option. Because this is what has happened. When a patient comes in and I tell them, we discuss the treatment options, I tell them, okay, what I've seen is many patients, when they start getting the treatment, they start becoming anxious
for results.
So when you tell them, look, that one is going to take 4 to 6 months to 1 year. When they come in and they're anxious, they're not seeing results. They see one patch, they start to worry about it. And what does the patch do? It becomes bigger. Then they see another one, they start to panic. So the more you panic with vitiligo, the worse it gets. Like with anxiety, vitiligo will always become worse. So it is one of the skin diseases that has an extremely strong correlation with stress. Most people, when they go through financial issues, whether it's a job, stress with work, stress with family, stress with marriage, it becomes worse. Most people have it, especially couples, people who are married. because one partner has it, the other partner will say, you're going to give me this disease.
Yes.
1. 2, then they won't have intimacy in the marriage.
Yes.
2, they will say, you're going to take it to my kids.
Yes.
Now, when people have that disease and they developed it when they're married, it affects them so strongly. And when it affects their mindset, it only becomes worse, unfortunately. So it's one of those things that ideally, may I recommend that every patient with vitiligo, when they come in, I always look at counseling. That's actually, most of them end up sending them to you. I tell them, look, you need to talk to other people who have the disease. Because counseling is the most important part. It's what I always want to focus on. I tell them, look, the treatments are there, but
you need to be.
The mindset, your mind is what's making it worse. So we need to treat, and we don't treat just you, we treat the family, because the family is so important. The perception. So some people get shocked. I tell them, look, bring the in-laws. We have a conference, okay?
Wow.
Because usually it's with the in-laws, you know, because of the culture here. So I tell them, bring the grannies, bring the people who are taking care, bring the fathers. Of course, dads don't want to come in when a patient has it. I tell them, I want everyone here in this room so that we talk about it, so that everyone stops pointing at the patient. They ask questions, they answer questions, and they start understanding that they need to help that patient's self-esteem. They need to help them feel better about themselves. Because, so when usually most times, the typical scenario that I see is a mother coming in
with a child
and she's crying. So
and the child
my
is
focus
wondering.
just stops. So my focus stops being on the child. I just focus on the mother.
Address the mother.
I just talk to the mother. Like I spend, even if it's an hour or 2, I just talk to the mother. The mother is the most important part in this whole aspect. Because I tell her, look, 1, your child is going to start blaming themselves. I tell them, first thing, please, I want to be the last doctor you see. Don't move. It will not help. Don't start saying you're going to see another doctor. They've told another doctor in Mbale, go to Mount Elgon. Then they tell you go to the hills in Imbarara.
There's something
grandmother
who has
this one has treatment.
Some herbs.
Every time you're moving with that child and taking them,
you're causing more stress.
You're causing more stress to the child. You're making it worse. 2, the child starts blaming themselves. They start feeling that I'm bringing so much discontent in my family. I'm hurting my mom, so it is my fault. The moment that gets into the child, people think that the child doesn't listen or understand. But they're quite intelligent and they care so much about how their parents feel. And that's the critical age, you know, when they really, is mommy angry? Is daddy angry at me or not? So they may not tell you, but when they see the mother going and crying in front of all doctors because of what she or he has, then they get affected. And it starts imprinting. You start seeing performance is poor. They wake up and they say, I don't want to go to school. Their friends are starting picking on them.
It's true, and they have no one to talk to.
They have no one
because
to talk
the mother
to.
is already stressed.
The mother is stressed, she's in tears. The mother, her in-laws are stressing her as well. Because that's the reality. That's what happens in Africa. So the in-laws are also stressing her out. The husband, the father also is also stressing because the father's mother is also stressing. They're like, what did you bring without our grandchild? And it becomes the mother's fault. You know, so I focus more on the mother, really.
I think
so it's
you're
so
right.
strong related to the
I think
mind.
you're right, both in taking care of her mother and bringing her to that place of peace, but also for her to know how to support that child.
How to support the child.
It's funny you say that because I got vitiligo when I was 10. And I think that the person who struggled the most in the beginning was my mom. That's exactly what happened. I think she struggled the most because, of course, it's from a place of love. You love your child, and this thing has happened to her. And she was actually trying to find me treatment and all of that. And at some point, I got stressed out because I got tired of trying different treatments. But also, she's the person who actually worked with me to look for some solutions. So it was both sides. It was, and it's a struggle. Someone else shared, when we shared as the ladies, even for her, it's her mom. Like she's okay, and her mom is not okay. And that is what's causing her stress. It feels like you actually overheard our conversation. But this is actually true.
So, you know, and that's why I always asked you, I would ask you, how did you do it? How did you get the strength to go through life with it, how you manage to even set up a business, which business involves beauty,
exactly.
you know, like you did the exact opposite of what most vitiligo patients will do. So I really think your mom did a very good job.
My mom, my community.
Yes, your community.
We've talked about it, you know, my friends, my support system.
Yes,
really.
the support system.
But also my relationship with God. I really can't downplay that because that's the place that you find the greatest peace.
Yes, you find peace
and acceptance and also solutions to you know, the challenge you have. And that's actually how my beauty business was built. And you know, like you mentioned counseling, you always send me people to counsel. I found that really helps. There's the professional counseling that plays a part, but also just counseling from your own community. From your own community, exactly. It really does help. Okay.
Some patients, if they're really too badly off, if I see depression, like I ask so many questions, I assess. So there's so in the practice of dermatology, something we call the dermatology quality of life index. So every patient that comes in as a dermatologist, you need to assess their quality of life. Because the one thing we come to understand is that skin diseases affect the quality of life of people. So when I see that they have depression or clinical depression or serious psychiatric issues as a result of the disease, then those ones I refer to a psychiatrist. I get a psychologist, and we see how we can be able to support those. But those who really need support from a community like yours, those, you know, it helps them much better.
Yeah, that's good. So now you're talking about, you've kind of started to talk about the psychological and, you know, emotional support.
Yes.
What treatment options are available at the moment?
Yes,
because people are wondering, can it even be treated?
Yes, so always my first statement, vitiligo can be treated but not cured. So I can help you to treat it. I've really been so innovative. I've looked for solutions, let me tell you. I've looked for solutions from everywhere. I've looked for solutions from India, I've looked for solutions from Russia, I've looked for treatment options from Cuba, from Cuba. Though it is not the medical dermatology.
Yes.
It is not there's that popular thing that always say it's from Cuba, which is not true. But
it's not?
there are always so many treatment options that are out there. Like you said, one thing doesn't work for everyone.
Yes.
So the first thing when a patient comes in, of course, after assessment, we need to do investigations. I always tell them, because the disease is autoimmune, we need to first be sure that the autoimmune aspect is not happening on the inside of the body.
Okay.
It's not happening on other parts of the body inside. So once we rule that out,
what does that mean?
Yes, so about 40% of patients with vitiligo end up with thyroid disease.
Oh yeah.
Either it will come later, maybe 3 to 5 to 10 years, or they already have a thyroid disease before even the vitiligo. So we do assess to make sure to see, does the disease, your immunity, did it also affect the thyroid gland? It's a gland in the neck that monitors the levels of energy for the body. So then the other thing that we always look at is the vitamin B12 levels.
Yes.
We've seen quite a higher rate, slightly higher rate of vitiligo in the vegetarian, strictly vegetarian and Indian community.
Wow.
So we look at vitamin D levels and look at vitamin B12 levels. So usually that's a standard panel that I would request to have from a patient.
Okay.
Then once those are okay, which is the majority, one thing that we now are asked to recommend to patients every 2, 3, or even 5 years, always test for thyroid function. Always test for thyroid
every 3 to 5 years.
At least every 3 years or every 2 years.
I think I last did that when I was a child.
Yes. So you just assess for thyroid function.
Yeah.
Because it's a really quite high rate of 30-40% of all vitiligo patients having thyroid disease. So it's good to always look for that. So when it comes to treatment, we are doing 2 things. We need to stop your body, the immunity, from attacking the cells that make color, the melanocytes. 2, we need to give you something to help the color to come back. Yes, so there's something quite interesting. When the body is attacking and killing the melanocytes, the ones that make color, they run and hide around the hair follicles.
Interesting.
So the cells around the hair follicles stay intact. what you call the stem cells or the progenitor cells, they stay intact. So any body part that has hair follicles has a higher chance of regenerating. Even when a patient is healing or when they're being treated, they start around the hair follicles, the repigmentation starts around there, and then it spreads outwards and connects. So the parts that don't have hair follicles, it's usually hard to repigment. I've said hard.
Like the lips.
Like the lips.
Yeah.
And the palms.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they're usually hard because they don't have the hair follicles.
Okay.
And also because usually I tell a patient that's what we need to plan for. We need to expect. So it's good to prepare the expectations.
And the
the
gum as
yes,
well.
yes. But we've got quite some good success rates with the excimer laser, the phototherapy on the lips. Some patients have got here. I always tell them it's a trial treatment. If it happens, yes, there are patients, the patients where it works very well and they're happy, they do get control of the lips. There are those where it doesn't. So it's just a trial. But basically, the essence is where the hair follicles, the chance of repigmentation are higher. The hands and the feet are always the hardest. So the face clears faster, followed by the trunk.
Why does the face clear faster? Is it because the skin is thinner?
The face, okay, so the face is, okay, here's what's happening on your body. You need two things. You're stopping your image from attacking, but secondly, you have to repigment. So what you do is stimulate the cells that make color to come back. So what happens is our body, when you expose it to the sun, if you go to the beach,
you darken. A tan.
So your melanocytes, in response to sunlight, they're forced to make more melanin to protect you. They're like, oh my goodness, we're having so much radiation, let's protect ourselves. So the face is always exposed on the body.
Okay.
Now, ironically, this is what happens when someone has vitiligo on the rest of the body, they cover it to hide it. So when they cover it to hide it from the neck, because the patient comes in, even the neck is covered, they're wrapping something, so they're actually not doing it any favor. But the face, because they can't cover it, it's always exposed to sunlight, so it repigments much faster. It responds much faster, So sunlight, because remember the body responds to stimulation. So when you have sunlight exposing, and that even part of our treatment, we always play with light. Because remember the purpose of the melanocytes is to create melanin to shield you against sun damage. So the more you make it think that, hey, you're being exposed to a lot of light, the more it will do what? It will repigment. So that's why the face always repigments faster.
And that's why a lot of vitiligo treatments, you are asked to actually go into the sun. Into the morning sun that's not hot.
Yes. So in terms of the treatments, the first thing we do is, it depends on at what stage a patient has come in. If a patient has what you call stable vitiligo, so I look at your vitiligo, I look at two types. There's what you call symmetrical vitiligo, where you have it on both sides, equal parts of the body. And then asymmetrical or segmental, meaning it's just on one part of the body, one side, So that part of the vitiligo, symmetrical vitiligo tends to recover well, faster than segmental, the one that's asymmetrical.
And you can have both?
You can have both, but most, if you have symmetrical, we say you have symmetrical.
Because most of us, it's symmetrical.
It's symmetrical, but there are actually some patients who have segmental vitiligo. They have it just only
in one
part.
place.
One place. Where it's just on one half of the body. So, also if it is stable or unstable. So if someone comes and says, look, I've had vitiligo for 10 years.
And it's just the same.
It's just the same.
Yeah.
So ideally for me, what I do, if someone has come in for more than 1 year and it's in the same spot, I would classify that as stable vitiligo. And I tell you why. Patients who have stable vitiligo, I always fear starting treatments. Because you're going to trigger off the anticipation, and then they start having it worse. So there are patients who say, when I went to the doctor, I started treatments and things got worse.
And I think that's what happened to someone I know.
Yes, because the expectations started coming up.
Oh no.
Anxiety started. So if someone comes and the vitiligo is stable,
you're like, don't
treatment is an option. Yes, because once we start the process of treatment, it may go against you if you you don't have the inner peace.
Yes.
If you start having anxiety,
Yes.
expectations,
Yes.
then the treatment may not work. You start having patches elsewhere.
Yeah.
Because I cannot stop the patches from coming elsewhere,
yeah.
as we are treating that one patch.
So you've talked a lot about the treatments, but I want you to be a bit more specific.
Yes,
so
yes. So part of the treatment, so that's the thing. Yes. That's how I was bringing it to the whole story is how you explain to the patient what to expect.
Yes.
So as you're telling the person what to expect and how you plan to do it, it's like the science behind it, so they get to understand.
Yeah.
Reason being, with vitiligo, it's a long-term treatment.
Yeah.
So if your patient doesn't understand why you're giving the treatments, then compliance will be an issue.
That's true.
You tell them you're going to be on treatment for 1 year, they'll do 1 month and drop off.
Yes.
They'll get tired. They'll say, because they didn't understand why you're treating
and they are not seeing progress.
They're not seeing progress, so they say, So in terms of treatment, if it is stable, usually we don't give medicines to swallow. If a patient comes in and it's unstable, like it's increasing on a monthly rate, we give them medicines to swallow to first calm down the immunity, so that it stops attacking the skin. Then we give them creams, various types of creams, topical medications to calm down the immunity. Because what's happening, the immunity is on a high. So we try to calm it down so that it stops attacking the cells that are making color. That's the first step. Then after we look at repigmentation. So if we see that, okay, it has now stabilized, there's no more depigmentation happening, let's stimulate the cells, the color to come back. Now that's where light therapy comes in. Phototherapy is really essential. So there are medications before the first generation of medicines that someone would swallow, or they would inject them, and then you go in the sun. So when they go in the skin cells, they attract more light. So they kind of cause even like a sunburn.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so those medications were given, you swallow them, and then they tell you 2 times a week, you swallow it, and then you go out in the sun. So it goes to the skin and attracts more light, more energy, and then it helps to repigment.
Yeah.
But because of those medicines, we are not so comfortable in the newer generation of giving them. Personally, I stopped giving them because now we replaced it with phototherapy. So phototherapy is, they discovered the light wave, specific wavelength in sunlight that stimulates color to come back.
Wow.
And that is the UVB wavelength.
Yes.
It has a specific measurement. So they've now manufactured equipment that has that specific wavelength that stimulates the cells to come back without harming you, without being too much in skin cancer range or being too hot to cause sunburn. So that range, the equipment is what we put the patient on. Phototherapy, meaning light therapy. So the light therapy is to stimulate color to come back, and the other treatments, the tablets, the creams we give, are to stop the immunity from attacking the skin. So you combine both. If you do just one part, so if someone goes to the doctor and just give them tablets, it will not be effective.
Yeah.
You need to have both.
To be able to now return the color.
Yes, return the color. But like I've said, vitiligo needs a lot of patience.
Yeah, it's true.
You need follow-up, you need patience to know that, okay, this will take time, discipline. So you have to involve the family so they can remind the patient. But the treatments are there.
I mean, any others?
Any other treatments? So yes, so we also do surgical treatments. So if someone has stable vitiligo, the rule is you must have stable vitiligo.
Okay.
So I actually pioneered this treatment here in Uganda.
Yes.
The first that we do is called melanocyte culture and grafting.
Okay.
So what we do, we extract a very thin layer of the skin that has the melanocytes, the normal part.
Yes.
And we culture it. So we put like in an incubator.
Okay.
It when you incubate it, it grows the stem cells. The things you add and you stimulate the stem cells. So all our cells, when they grow, they're what you call stem cells.
Yes.
So they're like what you call progenitor. So the cells where all other things come. Like if someone is if you're an embryo in your mother's womb, those are the stem cells that grow into your eyes, your skin, and what. Yes. So everywhere there are always what you call stem cells that grow and mature into what you're seeing.
Yeah.
So we culture them. We get that skin, put it in a warmer incubator, add in the additives to stimulate, the like enzymes, and they stimulate more growth of the culture. We culture the melanocytes, and then we implant them on the affected part, which has a vitiligo. So what we do, we do a scraping, it's called microdermabrasion or microneedling, and then we put in the cultured skin. It's like by then it's like a jelly. We put it in and then we cover the area. And then we remove it after a couple of days.
Wow.
And then we start on continuing stimulation with phototherapy, the light therapy. So that actually really stimulates. The other treatment that is quite innovative that we do is melanocyte punch grafting. So what we do, we get pieces of your skin, we punch them out from my donor area, very small bits. So we use micro punch machines. It's like a punch. We punch it out, and then we bring it and we basically install it. I would call it install it. So we insert them in the affected parts. So those parts, the skin cells that were normal, they come to the vitiligo part with their normality. So what was discovered is that when you put them in an area which is affected, the disease doesn't come and kill them. They actually empower and they repigment. So melanocyte grafting is also a very good option.
And it's available in Uganda?
It's available. Yes, we do it at Unity Skin Clinic.
How affordable is it?
So it's really negotiable. Too, it depends on the parts that's affected. If it's a small area, like I work on patients because it's going to depend on the time, on the number of grafts. So they bill per graft, we bill per graft. But it depends on the area really. Like some person can come as a very small area. So I've done grafting on all major parts really, the melanocyte grafting. But remember, the rule is you must have had stable vitiligo. We don't want it to again spread out when we do it. Then we as we're doing those treatments, still we make phototherapy part of it. Because it stimulates it and then they'll grow outwards and repigment. That has really given excellent results. Then I also do laser. So I do what you call fractional laser. So what I do is it's a machine, that's a laser beam. It has extreme heat, so it passes on the area of the skin that's affected. So usually when you get a burn, it's a controlled burn.
Yes.
When you get a burn, the body responds by darkening, making more melanin.
Yes, that's true.
So we stimulate that process. So we pass the fractional laser on it. So it's also quite a new innovation that I've brought. So far we've put on just a couple of patients on that treatment plan, but it also has promising results.
Okay.
But even with it, the rule is stable. It must be stable vitiligo, meaning you've had the same patch for a long time. That's what you can work on.
Okay.
Yes. Now, there are a whole new batch of treatments, new treatments. Medicine has actually evolved. We have what we call biologics. So biologics are a whole new way of medicine, of treating diseases. It's really the future of medicine, which is quite innovative. So what they've done, because there's something called molecular medicine. So what has been done because of advancements in technology, when someone has a disease, they can follow up the exact detail of what has triggered off that disease.
Wow.
They follow, they're basically steps that are involved in you getting that disease. So for example, they find that
you are exposed to
if you, let's say you're exposed to, I give an example of someone who has allergies, eczema, for example. They study that if someone is allergic to dust, when that dust particle comes and touches on the skin, there's something in the body that first senses it.
Yeah.
It actually attaches on that dust particle. So they look at that detail.
What is that thing?
When it attaches to that dust particle, it moves it to another part in the process, another protein. It tells this protein, I'm seeing something I don't like. This protein moves to another. This one moves to another.
You see the
yes. So it's what you call pathophysiology. It's like a reaction. There's always a link in all diseases. So they're called pathways. So what they've learned is with vitiligo, that's like all other diseases, it has a pathway.
Yeah.
The specific chemicals that are targeted, that go on the cell, that are specific. They say, first we want the cell that makes color, the melanocytes. It has what we need.
Isn't that interesting?
It's very interesting. So what they do, they've innovated medications that specifically target that part of the pathway.
Wow.
So before we've been treating things generally,
Yeah.
but now it's called targeted medicine.
Yes.
So it targets that particular part in the pathway. So they're called biologics.
Wow.
So biologics, they're quite new. Most of the innovations happening in the US, and for now they are very expensive because of patent rights. The guys who discover them, usually internationally, they protect the medication for about 10 years.
Their money.
They make their money. They're really, really expensive. But over time, within about a few years, they will allow generics to be made. Other countries will be able to manufacture them, and the cost will go lower.
Yeah.
So there's actually, the future is really bright for vitiligo patients.
Wow.
They're really, really good. I've tried to see how to bring them in Uganda, but the price, to be honest,
not yet.
It's not yet. It's inhibitory. The prices are crazy. They're crazy. They're hundreds of millions. So,
although there are people who can spend hundreds of millions.
Yes. Well, when the patient comes in, I always tell them about that option. Yes. But getting them is usually hard. Getting them is hard. But over time, in the next, I'm looking at like 5 or 10 years, all these medicines will be available. So some of them are available in a cream form. Yeah. So the ones for vitiligo, they're called JAK inhibitors, JAK inhibitors. So they inhibit the JAK protein. That's one, the chemical they found that is responsible for triggering off all the mayhem happening in vitiligo. It's the one that is unique to vitiligo. So it's one they targeted. So it's called a JAK inhibitor. So they can give you tablets or a cream or injection. Yeah. So they're all very, very new, like past 5 years. So one, they're still studying their efficacy, their safety profile, but they're out there.
Any side effects.
The side effects, but they're really giving excellent results, like totally good results. And with them, you don't take them for a long time. You can take them for like 4 months or 6 months and you're done.
Interesting.
Yeah, so those treatments are coming and they're there. They're there, yes. So that's the future of vitiligo treatment.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. I see a lot of research has been happening and all. But there's always been this talk, at least within the vitiligo community, that Cuba is the best country in treating vitiligo. So let me just ask, maybe I should just ask you a few things and you just tell me what is a fact and what is not true, what is false. Yeah. What is that treatment in Cuba that vitiligo patients have failed to access? There's one I used to get called melanina.
Yes.
And it didn't really work for me, but it works for many people.
It's called placenta tissue.
Yes.
Yeah. So I want to remind you about something. Vitiligo is so strongly related to the mind.
Yes.
So if someone comes to you and they tell you, look, this thing is going to work. Yes. So the human mind has the ability to heal itself. It's why actually people always don't know, but actually miracles do happen. But they happen because
you believe.
It's a mindset. I'll give an example. If someone has a cancer, or if people have HIV, you can find that someone has had HIV for like 10 years and they didn't know.
Yeah.
But the day they know, 3 months
that's it.
The same thing happens to cancer. You can have a cancer and you have no idea.
Yes.
The day you go and they test, you're doing general tests.
Now you know.
So like 6 months. And most of these cancers, So these cancers develop over years. They don't just develop like that. But the moment someone knows, they deteriorate. So the mind is so strongly related to vitiligo. So if someone comes and tells you that, look, this thing is so special, it's coming from Cuba, it has worked, it's going to work.
You're going to be faithful. You're going to do your treatment. You're not.
Yes, because remember, I was saying something to stress. So most times, some patients, because of positivity, vitiligo can actually heal by itself. You can just repigment, and that's it. Yes. Okay. The patients who just repigment spontaneously.
I've had some spots go
by themselves.
But
exactly.
I've not repigmented
entirely. Yes.
Yeah. Like I told you before.
So automatic repigmentation can happen. So these people, there's that psychological aspect. That when you give this, it will work. Because let me tell you, the world out there, when it comes to treatments and cure, no one is interested in hiding something that helps other people.
Yeah.
The people in Cuba don't have a desire to hide such an important treatment that people have to search for it, and it's extremely hard to get.
And you have to get it from in that country.
Yes, like why? If people are bringing treatments for cancer, for other diseases, why vitiligo? Why does vitiligo have to be so special? But because of the mindset, when you're given and they tell you it's going to work,
you're like,
it will work. But in Cuba, they have a very good treatment protocol. The one I talked of the melanocyte grafting, they actually do it a lot in Cuba. Wow. They admit the patient, they do the culture, and they do the grafting, and actually patients do get good results. And so the Cubans really have that, they really focus on that treatment option of doing the grafting. So the patient is admitted and they do the grafting, and patients actually really do well.
Wow.
Yeah, they really do well.
What about diet? What you eat? What is there a healthy diet for a person with vitiligo and an unhealthy diet? And also, let's also talk about pregnancy. How does pregnancy affect vitiligo? Because for me, every time I was pregnant, I would get new spots.
Yes.
Then I would come back, treat. Again, I'm pregnant, new spots. Come back, treat, you know? So
diet has there's no restriction with diet.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, as long as we've done the blood test and we've shown vitamin D levels are normal. If your vitamin D levels are low, we encourage you to have foods that are rich in vitamin D. So from milk to eggs to beans, going out in the sun, that helps. But there's no clear combination of having a specific diet with vitiligo. The reason the explanation is simple. Worldwide, everyone has vitiligo. There's a lot of vitiligo in India, but their diet is extremely different from the diet in Africa. The diet in Japan is different than in Europe. But everyone does get vitiligo. Every race can get vitiligo. The biggest challenge you have is that for African skin, the contrast is so much, so the impact of the impact of the disease is quite a lot. So someone who's white Caucasian, they will not even see such a big difference. You don't see,
especially the Indians. Until someone tells you I have vitiligo.
Exactly.
You're like,
exactly. It's so subtle because of that. But ours is a stark difference. And that stark difference is what causes issues. So, and the impact it has on Africans. So African skin has a special interest. I have a very keen interest in African skin. I'm doing a research about African skin. And actually what we chose to discuss was vitiligo. But African skin has its own unique issues, unique properties. So vitiligo is one of those diseases where, because of the stark difference, it has a much more impact on the quality of life of patients in Africa than other skin types.
It's true.
It's true. Than other skin types. So in terms of that, now pregnancy does make it worse. The hormones, there's a lot of instability. The stress associated with pregnancy.
The body registers stress.
The body registers stress. They do get, most of my patients have seen when you get pregnant, it does worsen.
Wow.
So usually even treatments, those times, because we stop all treatments, we wait until they give birth, but it does worsen in pregnancy. Pregnancy does trigger it. The stress related to it, the body is undergoing a lot of stress and changes, it does trigger it.
So I don't know, is there any other medical information that you feel that people with vitiligo would need?
My focus is on the psychosocial aspect of vitiligo. It's about counseling patients, community, people, family, community, people being aware about vitiligo and knowing that it's harmless. Rule number 1, it is harmless. Rule number 2, it does not spread. So by contact with the patient who has vitiligo, it does not spread.
Nothing is going to happen to you.
Nothing is going to happen to you, and it will never kill you. Vitiligo doesn't kill. You will not even get skin cancer when you have vitiligo.
Pause.
So,
You said something about melanin playing a role of protecting the skin against the sun because of skin cancer. But then you're saying that you can't get skin cancer. Okay, so I want to understand what's the relationship between skin cancer and someone with vitiligo.
So there's a deeper explanation which is biochemical. patients with vitiligo on those patches, they actually are not exposed to, they don't have a higher risk of getting skin cancer. We've not seen reports of vitiligo patients having skin cancer. I mean, they'll be, if they're there, we would all know. But in my practice over the past decade or so, we have not seen any record of a patient specifically getting skin cancer in their patch that had vitiligo. There's no correlation between that two. So you don't need, when they tell you that protect yourself, protect those areas from sun exposure, sunscreen. What can easily happen, they easily get sunburn.
It's the sunburn.
It's the sunburn.
So when you're protecting from exposure, it's more because of sunburn.
Of sunburn, exactly. You easily get sunburn. But the truth is that sunburn can help to repigment. Because you stimulate the cells, they're like, oh my goodness, we need
agree.
To, let us
I agree. Actually, everywhere I have been burned, is when it's healing, it comes with black spots.
With black spots, exactly, yes.
Interesting.
So the light does help.
Are there times where your vitiligo does not get sunburn?
When it does
because
not get sunburn.
There are patches on my body which don't get sunburn anymore.
Yeah, that's called hardening.
If I'm out in the sun, I'll have more sunburn around here.
Yes.
And these are actually newer patches.
Yes.
Like it's places where the vitiligo is newer.
It's newer, yes. So it's called hardening.
Okay.
So over time, as the body is exposed to certain parts in the environment, the skin hardens. It's called hardening. It's called desensitization. So your body gets used to something when it's exposed, and then it stops reacting to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, apart from that, how do we get more information? How do we get you?
Well, I think the information has been given.
Yeah, but there's always those questions that keep coming
I
up.
really believe we need to do more for vitiligo patients. I believe we need to give actually doctors, very, very key. I once did a CME for doctors and from all over Uganda, and they really asked so many interesting questions. They really didn't know much about that.
It's true.
And so the first step, what I would encourage doctors is to do more research, read more about it. We can always have more sessions where we educate the doctors, because the patient will go to the doctor. Now, when the doctor is also, when they go and the doctor is so worried, they're not informed, then it makes everything worse for the patient.
How is it possible that there are doctors that need to be educated about vitiligo? I thought that this is okay, fine. Maybe you're not a dermatologist.
Yes,
you don't specialize in skin.
You're not specialized in skin. So so because it takes time to specialize in skin, that's when you really understand it. And also the exposure to African skin, but it's about the specializing. So most doctors will be used to managing internal disease, managing fungal infections, managing pneumonia, malaria, high blood pressure,
not these other complicated
skin conditions like vitiligo. Yes, so if we educate the doctors, then we also bring out more information for schools. It's very important for teachers, for schools to know that if we have a student that has vitiligo, we do support them. If people get to know, and even the students that are at school, the colleagues get to know more about it. So there's quite a lot of work that needs to be done in terms of educating the society about vitiligo. That would really help to go a long way for vitiligo sufferers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Malik.
Thank you.
I think this was quite informative.
Yeah.
Personally, as a person who has vitiligo, I feel like we've just barely touched the surface.
Yes.
I don't know how it is for other people out there. I don't know what more we can do, but well, we'll see what opportunities come up in the future. But we'll continue to educate. You're doing a great job of educating and researching and bringing us new treatments constantly. I think let's keep that up.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much for watching.
Thank you.